Hello, welcome to the Trews. The Trews is news if the news were true. I'm your host, Russell Brand. Subscribe here. Today, our special guests are ALEC BALDWIN. Hello, ALEC.
Russell, so nice to see you.
Sarcasm. There is Stacy.
Hi.
And here is Max Keiser from the Keiser Report. In fact, we're using their studio. I thought I'd take the opportunity of having use-free, excellent pundits to do a sort of news roundup of the big issues of the day, of the week. Climate change, you say?
Well, it's interesting to me if you could, this would be impossible, this would be utterly impossible, but it's interesting to me if you could set up some kind of a system where you could monitor how many wealthy and extremely wealthy people in the U.S. are buying tracts of land in the northeastern United States, especially way up north and into Canada, in response to their fears about climate change. I had a friend who was a very prominent, I don't want to name his name, very prominent person in the entertainment business, big environmentalist, and he said to me, we're all going to be growing our own food in 15 years. I repeat, we're all going to be growing our own food in 15 years. And there's a lot of people I know who are like buying like 6,000 acres of abandoned timberland in Maine. They're going up to Canada to buy land because they're sitting there saying, we may be having people come and live with us and work feudally on a farm and growing our own
we
because
see
of
in Europe,
climate
just to
change.
give you some context here, in Norway, Finland, and Iceland, Sweden, and are also
Estonia, Latvia, those
seeing
areas.
the same climate change. Fearful folks are buying land up there as well. So you see it in Europe as well.
But it's also a matter of peak oil. So there won't be the sort of cheap energy available to deliver all that food and the mass production of food all around the world at one huge mega
It'll all
farm.
go local.
Yeah. It has
So
to.
Super local.
Yeah.
That's kind of frightening, isn't it? That the wealthiest people, the people that are at the vanguard of information and understanding, are accepting that the consequences of climate change are inevitable.
Or approaching.
Yes.
They're approaching, and that's really difficult, because what if you ain't got enough money to buy a great big tract of land?
Well, why is Fox News carry the idea that that global warming, climate change doesn't exist when there are very executives who run Fox News and their friends are buying land to prepare for that outcome? That's duplicity. That's unconscionable. They're supposed to be in the public domain. It's not like we grew up with CBS and Walter Cronkite and the idea of the news as being an impartial judge.
But when you have a serious conversation with people back home about climate change, what I think is best to say to them is, we're never going to get off fossil fuels. You're going to have oil-based, you're going to have petroleum-based fuels for vehicles, for an overwhelming number of vehicles where we cannot go hybrid because of the reliability, because of speed, emergency vehicles, military vehicles, the police, firemen, ambulances. The need for oil and for petroleum-based products in the United States will continue to exist for years and years and years to come. What we're talking about with renewables is to just have less. How can we reduce consumption by 15%, 20%? It's not about replacing oil and natural gas completely. It's about finish what you're going to say.
Because during the financial crisis, remember when oil went up to $140
and they rigged
a barrel?
that.
Well, yeah, Goldman Sachs did that, but the point is that people started using horses in America, out in like Texas and places like that, because they couldn't afford the $5 a gallon oil, gasoline.
Let alone the
Here
15 that it should be.
It's like 15 here.
Yeah.
But they were riding horses. Remember we covered
The
that
price
story?
of petrol doesn't reflect the true cost of the externalities, as they're called, of having the petroleum-based economy. If they did, the price of gas would be $20, $30, $40 a gallon, right?
Now, speaking of things being excessively hot, what's the next subject?
Speaking of things being excessively hot, what a wonderful link. What a very fine performer you are.
I do try.
Naked celebrity photo leak. Now, I suppose that this gives us an opportunity to move into the more vacuous end of the news spectrum, part of the spectacle, the distractions. What does that mean? Is there anything significant in this issue? Have you got any naked photographs I should be concerned about? If so, why have I not been sent them directly?
It's funny because when I don't really pay attention to that stuff that much, but when I first heard about this naked photo scandal, all this stuff downloading, I probably would have bet $1 million cash that would have involved you somehow.
I took some of them.
I would have thought you and the gallery of women you've known would have been front and center. It could have been photos used in a calendar for the next century, perhaps.
It's because I like to live in the moment, Alec. If I'm there with a naked woman, I don't start groping around for a camera. I bring down the very gods. I conjure up Hades. Heaven and hell collide in a clitoral explosion. There's no time for a true print or a snappy snap moment. No. We've got to live in it. I suppose what I'm starting to feel when we all communicate together is there's this tremendous amount of sort of febrile frustration. We feel like sort of we're constantly trying to communicate, and yet an unwillingness to accept that. Well, why is radical change not possible?
But I think, just to answer that, what you're saying now inside the prism of this is that I have a belief that so much the United States has become very puritanical again. You know, those people who are out there behaving sexually, they do it in a very, very kind of louche way, and they look silly. And Miley Cyrus is going to tank her career by taking off all her clothes. Because when you go to the movies and you see things on television, nudity, sensuality is verboten. It's really been tamped down again. You know, women that are stars now are very cerebral, very mannish, very competent, very capable. They get things done. You know, Gina Lola Brigida would never act in films today. Sophia Loren would never act. Bardot might not act in films today. She'd be consigned to this reality TV, Kim Kardashian thing, because true female sensuality, but like water seeking its own level, this stuff will erupt. These women who are really, really these sensuous women, their sensuality is going to come bursting forth in some
I was
forum.
struck by on Twitter that most people were blaming the women for
Oh,
having
really?
photos. Like, why do you have these photos?
But I think the women take the pictures because they're unashamed and they appreciate their own beauty and their own bodies. They never dreamed somebody was going to put them on the internet. But then eventually, wasn't there a part of them that they ultimately knew it might end up on the internet?
I was struck by how the NSA scandal, which happened shortly before, didn't get hardly as much attention as the NSA spying on everybody. But celebrity naked photos was a huge scandal. So this shows you the power of the MPAA and their lobbying efforts in Washington to protect their stable of stars that are crucial in the way America works today. It's MPAA.
Jack Nicholson's famous line about the rating system. Remember Nicholson's famous line?
No.
Nicholson said, what was the exact word? He said, if you suck a tit, you're X-rated. If you chop it off with a sword, it's an R.
There's old Jack there. We can always rely on him.
Yes.
And I like what you said, Alec, about this, that we live in a culture that is so sterile and benign that our libidinous nature seeks natural expression. Do you not think that our other natural impulses and instincts will similarly seek realization? Our natural inclination for justice, our natural, because we do have an instinct for fairness. We've all seen that footage of a monkey given celery while the other monkey's given a grape. Eventually, celery monkey becomes
So you're
enraged.
asking all of us to make predictions for mankind, is basically what you're asking.
Basically, what I'm saying is, what's going to happen to mankind?
Let's go around the horn. Predictions for
Wasn't
mankind.
saying
at
that.
the beginning.
To be specific, you're saying, what are the chances of a revolution happening for real in the next 5 years in some country? I think if
Even
that's the
10 or
question.
15.
I would, and what the Economist magazine calls a social cohesion risk.
What does that mean? That means
A revolution, right? So what's the
We can have a
chances?
social cohesion risk.
In the next I'd say that
CHR.
in the next 5 years, because of the wealth inequality, because of the pressures of climate change, I would say that the chances are 90% in the next 5 years of one of these groups actually staging a legitimate revolution in the U.S., in the U.K., where it's desperately needed.
Wow, that's fantastic. That was an exciting prediction, wasn't it?
I think that Ebola, the crisis, is the canary in the coal mine about world health, and if we don't address this properly now, it will be an indicator that the end of mankind, the extinction of the human race on Earth, will be a viral one. It'll be a disease-related one. It won't be tsunamis. It won't be war. Mankind will become extinct from disease that we didn't take seriously worldwide.
Alec Baldwin there
We didn't care
predicting
for
the
our
end of
fellow man.
mankind.
No,
It's like a moral lesson.
If it happens.
Go on,
I
Stace.
think the worrying thing, again, like the previous Great Depression, is Europe. If you look around how right-wing fascist groups are coming into power, like in Hungary, Jobbik has something like 25% of the vote, and they're openly fascist. And I think that's terrifying to me.
And my last question for you, I want to ask everybody around the horn is, I'm not taking over your show, I apologize.
No, absolutely. Clearly not.
In the wake of extinction.
Just a big, handsome, white, presidential-looking person shouting everyone.
In the event of extinction, in the event of worldwide extinction, the species is gone, yet two people remain. One man, one woman. A virtual Adam and Eve, once again, have come back. Who do you choose to be Adam and Eve? Who will repopulate the Earth? Who would be Adam and Eve?
Is it going to be us?
I was going to say, well, I'm willing to play either part, actually. No, who do you vote for? Who do you vote for Adam and Eve?
Max and Stacy.
Max and
True love. That is the truth. Mankind may be on the precipice of a meltdown. Revolution may be coming. We may be eaten by viruses. We could be on the forefront of a new fascist regime across Europe. But the true news is this: as long as we got Max and Stacy, as long as we have Alec Baldwin, president in waiting, there is a chance for humanity. We must unite and fight. That is true news. Subscribe here. Subscribe here. Would you say subscribe here while going like that?
Subscribe here. Subscribe here.
Thank you very much. That is the truth. I've just come.
Nose is a tool that is abused to fool you and to leave you scared and confused. Trews is like the news. If the news was true, I want some Trews. Let's have some Trews.